Okay, I'm sorry. Roberto.
So 1, 2, 3, 4,
I bet Marion's in Mexico.
5, 6. Marion, hi. Hi, Bob. Hey, Sam. No. He just called me a little while ago and not able to make it. Last minute issue for that. Oh my gosh.
Probably go ahead.
So Becky is helping us out today. I think everybody knows Becky.
Yeah.
Becky Allison.
Thank you, Becky.
She's the general accountant and she's also the deputy town clerk.
Hey.
You haven't met her?
No, I
Jean
haven't
Walter?
either. Hey.
Margaret?
Yeah.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Antoinette's on vacation this week.
How long has Becky been?
1 year, 1 month, and 17 days.
Oh my gosh. What? What is that? Wow.
It makes sense that we haven't seen you. I mean, it was 1 year of not seeing that. So start, do we need the work session?
What is it? Yeah, it's 6:30 according to my iPad and my watch.
Yeah, go for it. I think so.
You guys ready?
Are you-
You ready, Becky? I'm ready. Is your microphone on?
Oh, sorry. I turned everyone's on except yours. Not good.
Can you hear me? Okay.
I hear you now.
All right. Calling to order the Planning Commission regular meeting. Today is Wednesday, January 26th, 6:30 PM. Could I have a roll call, please? Margaret Bowles.
Cornell Quinn.
Catherine Trotter.
Jean Walters. Katie Souls.
Bob Ganusi,
Oh, yeah, I forgot about them.
And
Sam. Are you there, Sam?
He might be waiting right to 6:30.
Hello, Sam. Can you hear me? Well, he's logged in. Let's give him credit for being here.
It shows it's muted up there, isn't it? Looks like on the right, there it is. There we go. Still shows muted.
Sam, can you hear us?
can everyone hear Bob Ganusi? I'm just checking. Okay, good.
Loud and clear. Hi, Bob.
All right.
Well, even if he doesn't check in, you still got it.
Yeah. All right, well, should we continue on?
He hasn't sent anything in the chat, right, Becky? Okay.
No, I don't see anything.
Yeah, over on just our video. Yep. All right, do I have a motion for approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Opposed?
Seconded, sorry,
I moved.
And Katie, second.
thank you. I thought it was the other way around.
You're welcome. No problem. And how about a motion to approve the consent agenda? So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Aye.
And with that, I guess I'll turn it over to Catherine.
Yep.
We need to open the public hearing. It's not a public hearing. It says public hearing. Is it?
No, it's under discussion and possible.
Yeah, this isn't, we
action.
don't, so the way the new code is written, and correct me if I'm wrong, whether it's the new.
Okay.
Sam's
This,
here.
Oh, Sam.
oh, hi, Sam. Can you hear me?
You're muted, Sam. He's muted.
Now I can unmute
Can you hear me now?
There we are. Are we there?
Yep.
Yeah, apologies for being late.
That's okay. Sorry, we thought you were there but couldn't hear us.
Yes,
So can you just state that you're present?
yes, Sam Brewer, present.
So we're already down to item number 5 on the agenda.
Okay,
So-
cool.
Just going back to the way it's written is it can be these, maybe you should explain. it.
Yeah, I can go ahead and start into my presentation. Marion Waldron is here. She's the applicant. And she is requesting a minor subdivision final plat and conditional use permit. And the land development code is a little bit different than what it previously was. So maybe that's why there's some confusion. But a conditional use permit comes to the planning commission for a recommendation. And the public hearing is actually in front of the town board.
Gotcha.
So we have scheduled the public hearing at the town board for February 16th. And we're here tonight to get a recommendation from the planning commission on this. And again, just to remind you, this is a minor subdivision, and which means it's 4 lots or 4 units or less. And with our code change, that can now be reviewed at an administrative level. But the reason why this is here tonight is more so for the conditional use permit. So Marion owns Lot 4, Block 2, Byers Vista subdivision. And Becky, are you able to go ahead and pull up that plat, please? So the property address is 401 Norgren, and what she would like to do is subdivide this lot at 401 Norgren into 2 separate lots. And in order to do that, she needs to come through the conditional use process for that. So there's the lot. She's hoping to do lot 4A and lot 4B. There's an existing house, obviously, that sits on lot 4B. And let me back up. And before we overhauled the code, we added this section to the code. So this has actually been a part of the code for a while. And the thought behind this conditional use process is to, several town board members said, you know, we have a lot of these smaller lots in Old Town, town of Eastham. And those lots are typically the 25 by 135. And because of the requirements of that zoning district, most of the zoning districts in Old Town, you needed 2 lots in order to put a structure on them. And so a couple of the town board members kind of kept pressing this issue. Why don't we change the code? And this was the avenue that we chose, was through a conditional use permit. And the thought was, if we were to allow smaller lots, then we could allow smaller units to be built on those smaller lots, and it would help with our crazy housing crisis.
Correct.
So just kind of some background information of how this came into play. So the criteria for that, and that's actually under section 19270, which is measurements and exceptions. And it does allow for a reduced lot size with setback and floor area for a residential unit as a conditional use, subject to a couple different criteria. So the minimum lot may be reduced to 2178, which equals 20 units to the acre. And a minimum lot width of 20 feet and a reduced side yard of 5 feet. And the minimum floor area of the principal structure can be reduced to 200 feet. But we do say in the code that if this is permitted via the conditional use permitting process, then an accessory dwelling unit is not allowed on that smaller lot. So that's kind of the criteria that the code has set. So Marion's lot, the proposed lot B here is 9,213 square feet. And it's in the low density multifamily residential district. And that does allow for low density residential neighborhoods that accommodate single family and certain multifamily dwellings parks, low impact community facilities where not more than 4 dwelling units are desired within a building or on a single parcel of land. And as this is proposed, the lot 4B does meet the criteria for a standalone lot in this zoning district, which again is low density multifamily. So the standards for that require a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet for a single family, again, which is what's there, and a minimum lot width of 50 feet. And so that lot B, as I've said, 4B is over 9,000 square feet and has a linear frontage on Norgren of just over 90. So again, it fits the standalone criteria. So 4A would be the smaller lot that's being proposed. And again, it can be up to 178 square feet. And this one, lot A, is proposed to be 4,612 square feet with a minimum lot width of just over 44 feet. And again, it needs to have that minimum lot width adjacent to the right of way of 20. So Marion did submit a narrative along with her application. And I just want to, Becky, can you pull up that other exhibit real quick? So there are a couple of sewer easements that this plat will create because there's a couple different service lines that go through this property. So the one closer to Norgren is actually for the existing sewer service for the existing house on lot 4B. And the one in the rear is actually a service line for the old Larrabee house. And so that was discovered at some point recently when I think when maybe Krista Clanky built her house. So we do want to add those easements to this. And then there's also this reciprocal driveway easement. And we just wanted to show you what the buildable lot is when you took out the setbacks and you took out the easement. And that shows that there's still a buildable area of 2,000 square feet. So Marion,
I'm sorry, excuse me. Am I missing something? I don't see that. Were you going to open that file and show it?
oh, sorry. You can't see that?
No, you've got it. I see where you've got it highlighted, the buildable area lot 4A, but it's not open to those of us on Zoom.
Okay.
Hmm.
And it's in the board packet.
Yeah, it is in the planning commission packet.
Right. And I know which file you're talking about. I just thought you were going to open it to show it, but basically that shows a corner of the rear of the lot being cut off because of the setback required for the sewer easement. So my question was going to be, I'll just say it, does that mean the house can be built right up against the 5 foot from center line setback for the easement, and that creates like a odd shaped house, basically?
Not like we don't have many in Fraser already.
Right. But I'm just saying the file I think you were trying to open to shows the back corner
Yes,
of the building
correct.
cut off so that you don't encroach on the easement.
We have
So,
one of the building.
let's hold off a second for these kinds of questions. Let's let Catherine finish her presentation and then Marion make her presentation, and then we can ask those questions. I'm not sure why you're not seeing it, because I'm looking right at the Zoom screen up front. But yeah, let's hold off on questions until we get through the two presentations, please, Bob.
Okay. All right.
Well, I guess while Becky's working on this, I just have a couple more things to say. So in Marion's proposal, it says that they're looking at building or she's suggesting that the structure will be a single-family dwelling, about just over 1,400 square feet with a 2-car garage, 3-bedroom, 3-bath. It'll be 2-story. So the building footprint is about just under 1,000 square feet, and the building height in that district is a max of 35. And again, no ADU will be allowed on that lot. And I do just want to focus your attention that when the Planning Commission, the Board of Trustees considers a conditional use permit, you do need to take the following factors into consideration. I'm going to go ahead and read these because they're pretty important. That the conditional use is compatible with adjacent uses and adjacent zone districts, including potential traffic generation, noise, lighting impacts, parking requirements, and general effects on such adjacent uses and properties. That the conditional use meets all the existing criteria for minimum lot area, setbacks, building height, permitted signs, and parking. That the conditional use will not change the predominant character of the neighborhood, including the scale and bulk of the proposed use in relation to the surrounding uses and neighborhoods. That the conditional use will not overburden the capacities of the existing streets or utilities, parks, schools, and other public facilities and services. That there will not be an unacceptable effect of the use on light and air, distribution of population, transportation facilities, utilities, schools, parks and recreation facilities, and other public facilities and public facilities needs. That there will not be an unacceptable effect upon traffic, auto and pedestrian safety and convenience, traffic flow and control and access, maneuverability, and removal of snow from the streets and parking areas. That the conditional use does not contribute to undervalued use of property, that the conditional use conforms with the comprehensive plan, and that there is a history of compliance by the applicant and property owner with the requirements of this chapter, the code, and other prior conditions regarding the subject property. And I think, Marion, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you. If you could kind of add anything, or maybe you're able to answer some questions if the commission has any questions for you.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Thanks for listening to this proposal and giving it some consideration. I have lived in Fraser for many years, and I've actually owned a couple properties on the island of Muse. I had 480 Muse Drive, where John Brickner lives now. He purchased that property from me. And I've owned this property, 401 Norgren, for quite a long time. I did a bunch of upgrades on the property this summer. I added a 2-car barn garage. I put new siding on the house, and I put on a new roof as well. I think that this will, if I can get this lot subdivided, put in a nice little house with a garage. My intent would be then to have another rental, or possibly a sale down the road, but more of a rental. We are having such a housing crisis right now, and land, they're just not making any more land. So adding another lot makes a lot of sense to me. You see where the driveway is kind of in, it's in the easement. So my plan is probably not to build as far up as this line goes. I just don't know. We just got this last week, so. But I'm hoping that there's enough parking in front of the 2-car garage for another car or two, and using the same driveway. Let's see.
Are you guys able to see the exhibit or not still?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay.
Yeah. The lot right behind me was the first property to do a minor subdivision, I believe, that I was aware of, and that was the Larrabee's, and that was the Ashton minor subdivision, where Krista and Bart built their house on the lot that was subdivided from the Larrabee property. And then Peter Newman was building the duplex. I hadn't thought much about it. And then this summer when I would go by, because I was having all this work done on the lot, on the property, I saw Peter building his duplex. And I had thought about maybe doing an additional, trying to attach a house, something to the current existing house, but it makes so much more sense to just do a separate single family home. You know, it's a great property, walking distance to the Fraser Elementary. That's why I bought the other property on Muse. Jessica was in second grade. My daughter was in second grade, and David and I would stand in the window. She'd walk to the stop sign. We'd wave to her. She'd go off to school. It's a great, great location for families. So that's my plan.
Hey, Becky, can you put the plat back up, please? You know what? I meant to bring that up earlier. So since we've changed the code to allow for this, that Larrabee lot actually didn't go through a conditional use process. That lot was just big enough to subdivide it and be a standalone lot. So I just wanted to correct you there, Marion. But the Youngs who live on Muse, they went through the process. We also had Michael Glunk up on Wapiti did this.
Right.
And also Michael Brack, who works for the town, he did this on Ferret. So we've had 4 that have come through the process so far. And I think 3 of the 4 have either built or in the process of building. So.
Well, and the intent of the plan of that, when we went through it, was for affordable housing. And since then, we haven't deed restricted any of the lots that have been subdivided for affordable housing. We've granted them the right to build a smaller house, but we haven't gone through and said, okay, now you've got a deed restricted to a workforce housing person in town. That's the reason we did it back 6 years ago.
Well, I don't know about that. I think we just did it to provide for smaller lots
And affordable housing for locals.
and housing, additional housing options.
Right.
Housing,
But-
affordable housing was in our minds. But we didn't
have that as part of the code, that it had to be deed
No, no,
restricted or
it's not part
anything.
of the code.
Yeah,
I mean,
That
that's
was
what
the
everybody
intent.
envisioned, was that's why the minimum house was what, 200 feet?
mhm.
We were thinking it was gonna be smaller houses, which I'm curious, Marion, you mentioned it would be, you're thinking 1,400 square feet, or are you thinking 2 stories or?
Yes, 2 stories. It's actually, I had 22 by 44, but that might be a little bit too big. I just don't know until I can measure and go around the easements, the SUR easements. I see my driveway is over one of them, and I guess, so driveways are allowed over easements, is that?
Well, this is a new easement per this plat.
So yes,
Yeah.
the driveway can go over the
Yeah.
easement, but if they
Okay.
have to fix the water or sewer line, I don't know which easement that is, and they tear up your driveway, it's your cost to replace. the
Well, it's
driveway.
a sewer service line, so it would
For
be your
sure.
cost anyway.
Right.
But yes, Jean, to answer your question, that was gonna be, yeah, a 2-story building. I envision the 2-car garage right in the front of the house. Then with, which would go back 20 or 21 feet. And then the rest of the downstairs would be like a bedroom, bathroom, and then the top floor with 2 bedrooms. And hopefully 2 more baths, at least 1.5, and the living room, dining room, kitchen.
So kind of like the one side of the duplex?
Kind of like one side,
Yeah. Yeah, like one side of the duplex on Carriage.
right, right,
There's a bedroom down there and
right, exact, well, yeah, right.
And
The duplex on Carriage is actually, you know, and then it's got a nice big office in there. I guess that's kind of like the same size. It might be, but it's shaped different. It's wider, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a little bit tighter, so.
And then on the bigger lot, lot B, I think, right? Does that reduce its ability to be a fourplex? Because in that zone, they could do a fourplex.
Yeah, it would,
Right.
yeah. I'm saying, right, you cannot do a fourplex there.
Right. It would take away the ability to do a fourplex. You might be able
Well-
to do a duplex.
I mean, yeah, once you've done that, you don't have much other option with that existing lot 4B.
And that would really change the nature of the neighborhood, putting in a fourplex there, because those are all single family homes.
Except for around the corner, the,
Except for all
Oh,
the way,
that's
around.
true.
Yeah,
Everything on the outside is
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
all fourplex.
it's a mix of single family and attached product.
Well, this was actually gonna be my retirement plan. I was planning on putting a fourplex on this lot, tearing down the existing property. This is way, way many moons ago, 18 years ago. I don't have it in me. So that idea went out the window, so. But that was, yeah, that was my thought when I bought the property all those years ago.
Hey, Marianne, when was the original house built?
I think around 1960, I'm not sure. Off
Okay,
the, I think that's approximately right.
okay. So I was thinking with the town of Fraser has an incentive program. If your sewer line is older and is leaking, that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, Ed, but they will reimburse you 25% of the cost of replacing it.
Oh.
And because we're so concerned about water, surface water leaking into it. So anyway, something that you might consider having checked out on that old one, because if you've got to tear all that up anyway. Anyway, food for thought.
Gotcha, thank you.
Not part of the permit process, just some feedback.
My other little concern is the shared driveway. You plan on having an HOA agreement for the shared driveway, or is it gonna be?
I was planning on doing just an easement on the shared driveway.
Yeah, but then there's the plowing of that easement, and people get upset when snow gets pushed into one driveway and not to the other guy's driveway.
There's plenty of room in this yard right here. Well, right, you can't see where I'm pointing. Sorry. But there's plenty of room in the front yard for snow to get pushed over.
Yeah, that's from a local that's lived here her whole life. Other people that see a giant snow mound in front of their driveway and the person on lot A doesn't have any snow in their driveway, that'll start causing problems. As a guy that plowed snow for 10 years, I can tell you that's gonna cause problems.
Yeah.
So unless you have some kind of agreement on how that gets plowed and where the snow goes, you're gonna
Sure,
have
plowing.
two neighbors fight.
so going back to this, what Marion's proposing right now is the minor subdivision. So
And
it really doesn't, the snow storage doesn't have anything to do with it at this point. So,
well,
Or
if they
does
don't have
it-
a plan for it, that's,
well, yeah,
Part
but
of the
she
planning
doesn't even know what she's building yet. So how can you have a plan for snow storage right now?
Would that be
What-
something that
what
would come
we-
before the
wait,
board?
What we need to assess right now,
This will go. to the
right
board.
here,
Snow storage?
is whether she meets the criteria for the minor subdivision. Which I believe, based on all the information in front of it, at least it's my opinion that she does. And go from there. It's not, we don't need to talk about snow storage right now.
I mean, we're gonna be looking at that when you submit a building permit.
Gotcha.
You
Yeah.
know, and if you don't have the required other development standards, if you're not able to meet the parking and the on-site snow storage, you know, you're gonna have to look at shrinking the footprint of the house. But I mean,
Sure.
this plat does create that reciprocal driveway easement. So if you are thinking about having another document that goes along with it, it might be prudent to record that via separate instrument at the same time that this plat gets recorded.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and in that reciprocal easement agreement, you could also include a discussion about this snow storage. You know, as part of the reciprocal
And snow
easement.
removal.
Yeah,
Like a shared driveway agreement.
yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments?
No, when I reviewed the requirements for conditional use, it did look like she met all that this does meet those requirements. Couldn't really see any that it didn't meet.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I already stated that, but. And we do have, as Catherine mentioned, there's definitely been a precedent set in this change in the code. Conditional use change, so.
And again, tonight, we're just looking for a recommendation for the board. So the public hearing that will go in the newspaper and also out to adjacent neighbors for the public hearing at the board level on the 16th of February.
So when's the notice have to
What-
go by the 2nd?
14 days in advance of that.
And what time does that meeting start, Catherine?
That'll start at 7.
Okay,
So there, maybe before we see if Sam or Bob has anything, there were a couple conditions. One is we need a plat note on here that says no accessory dwelling unit shall be allowed on lot 4A, in accordance with the code. And also, add final plat to the plat title.
so no accessory dwelling unit allowed.
Yeah, we have that in a resolution, Marion, that was in the packet. And,
Right.
you know, whatever gets approved by the planning commission, you will get this executed and forwarded to you.
Okay,
And we can send it to Tim Shank and he can make those
Oh,
changes too. So,
perfect.
okay.
Great. Okay, that'd be great.
So do we need to have a vote on it?
So
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
we
a,
need
there's
a-
a resolution in the packet.
is
I
there
don't,
anything from Sam or?
Oh, yeah. Do we have any comments from Sam or Bob?
Yeah, it looks pretty straightforward to me. I'm sure there'll be some hiccups down the road as you explore possibilities on lot 4A. But this present application looks thorough and complete, and I'm quite satisfied with it. So no questions. Nicely done, Marion.
Thank you, Sam.
This is Bob, and I'll just echo what Sam said. The only questions I had was on the buildable area for lot 4A, and that was covered regarding the sewer easements. And so I'm good to go.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Marion.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2022-0101, Town of Fraser Planning Commission, recommending approval of the minor subdivision, final plat and conditional use permit for Waldron Minor Subdivision.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
I
Aye.
Okay, none
Okay.
opposed.
Yay.
Yay!
Yay. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate all your time tonight.
Yeah, you're
all right, I'll be in
welcome.
touch with you, Marion.
Okay, thanks, Catherine.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Okay,
Thank
have a
you.
good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Just for, I had a quick question about it. we allow for accessory, she could have done an accessory dwelling on there without going through the minor subdivision, correct?
Correct,
And that would have been under one ownership.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And that would forever
was
be
part of that
attached to
code.
the,
Yeah.
well, the code update allowed for accessory dwelling units to be a use by right in all of the zoning districts, except the single family district. That's the only one that requires a conditional use permit.
Got it.
So before, all ADUs required a conditional use and to come through this kind of process, but we made it a use by right
Right.
in all except one.
That's
Um,
what I thought. I just wanted. to
Yeah.
understood that.
I have a question for you, Catherine. So our comprehensive plan and the work that needs to be done with that to update it, does that begin at the planning commission
Yes.
level? Okay.
Yeah.
The then I'm going to share what I shared briefly at the last board meeting. I attended, and I didn't bring my notes, but I attended a meeting with it was for big picture planning for the future for the entire Fraser Valley. And the chamber is helping to spring for the initial 50,000 to put this together, but they're ultimately looking for 6 people to be on a working committee. They would like a representative from Fraser. And I think Catherine would be ideal for that. And this is a big commitment. It would be about 6 days, 3 4-hour meetings. And then this committee would report back to the steering committee, which would be made of the mayors, county commissioner, and I think Sky would be on that from the resort also. But it's a big picture planning to identify what we want to see in the future needs, not minutia planning, but kind of who would be rolling with getting these other smaller pieces in place at a later date. But one of the things that I'm excited about with it is a part of this, they're looking to hire, they're going to put out a RFP for group that helps coordinate this because it involves a lot of public meetings. And my thought was that with the town of Fraser participating in this, with these public meetings, we may well be able to help, get 2 birds with 1 sword and be able to use those for our information to help us move ahead with our comp plan. So it's in the works, but I'm excited about it. I don't know, what did we budget for a comprehensive plan? Did we budget this year for comp plan? Nothing this year.
There was other priorities and
Okay,
during the budget hearings,
okay,
I recommended that we delay the comprehensive plan this one year.
okay.
So we diverted those funds into other.
So we'd have to check with the board to see if there was some other place, if we were to contribute, like whatever a share would be, 30, 40, something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we can always look at trying to get some DOLA funding, Department of Local Affairs. They have that administrative grant. We actually use
Planning.
that funding to do our code overhaul
Okay.
in 18.
All right.
So that could be a possibility.
So anyway, that's going to be coming down the pike. And they had a very ambitious schedule. They wanted to get it rolling and have the whole process completed by October of this year. So we'll see. But I wanted to update y'all on that.
You might still be able to kill 2 birds with 1 sword.
Mhm.
You can still use the data that's collected when we do.
That way everybody can hear you.
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
No.
Oh,
Now you can. I think you can still kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You can use the data that's collected in that community effort when we do a comprehensive plan. I do know that in 2010 was the last comprehensive plan update. It was done internally, it was done in-house. So before we start a comprehensive plan, I would have to have an evaluation and a discussion with the board whether or not we want to do another in-house effort or whether we want to hire outside consultants to do that. Since it's been essentially 12 years since the last comprehensive plan, I would probably lean more strongly toward outside consultants to help with those efforts. They can do the public hearings, they can do the charrettes and do the evaluation. And they'll gather all that data that's collected previously, our own capital plans, the previous comprehensive plan, any community plans and so forth.
Okay, good.
I mean, we looked at doing an update to the comprehensive plan, probably like in 16 and 17, and we decided to focus more on the old downtown area, and that's why we moved forward with the community builders plan with
Right.
the downtown strategic plan. And then we also were involved in, we got some, again, some assistance to work on that resiliency plan. So it's not that we haven't done any planning recently, because I
Right.
think we certainly have, and
Yeah.
we're moving forward.
It's
You
just
know,
a
we've been,
document.
yeah, we've been
That's
moving
good.
forward with those recommendations. But I would certainly recommend that we don't do it in-house, because the last two have been done in-house, and I don't think they're necessarily bad. And I think there's, still some good information in there. But I think it would behoove us to hire an outside consultant.
If we spend the money on a comprehensive plan, we're gonna actually follow it. We haven't followed any of the last ones we've done.
No, I disagree. I mean, we're moving forward with implementing a lot of the recommendations in the downtown strategic plan.
Well, the one we did in-house.
We didn't do
Did-
that one in-house.
Mhm,
We got some assistance from community builders.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, we would not have received the CDOT funding. We got 2 CDOT grants as a result of that downtown strategic plan, which dumped, about $1 million into the downtown with additional curb crosswalks and sidewalks and access management and curb appeal.
I
And
guess my point's more the annexation that we didn't do. We should have done. We didn't annex it in. We didn't annex Byers Peak in.
You did. It got overturned.
We didn't annex it in. We may have tried to annex it in, but we didn't.
well, we annexed in and then there,
And then
and
it was
then it
overturned.
was overturned.
Yeah.
It was short-lived.
I'd like to say one more thing about the comprehensive plan. We have a lot of ambitious plans and a lot of the grants and the direction we want to take as far as affordable housing initiatives and so forth, other open space plans and so forth. Most of these grants ask the question, is this in alignment with your comprehensive plan? So a comprehensive plan, quite frankly, is probably one of the most important documents a municipality can have. It becomes the basis for a tremendous amount of other plans, including capital improvement plans, water use plans, land use code and update. It addresses different needs, and those needs change. And doing a plan in-house tends to take a lot of cutting and pasting, from my experience. They'll just say, well, we'll just update a few things here and go with that. My last community was a good example. They had gone through 3 in-house updates, and I examined them, and they were identical to the one that was passed 17 years before. So as conditions change, you need to periodically update your comprehensive plan. Typically 5 years is when you should be looking at doing this update. And like I said, we're 12 years out. But again, we had other needs in 2022. And the recommendation that I made to the board, which was made it into the final budget, was to delay the comprehensive plan update until 2023. But I agree with Catherine. We have some other plans in place, like the downtown strategic plan, which we do follow. Victoria Village is a good example of, it was identified in that plan, and we're going to try to follow that strategic plan. It's a major part of our grant application, and it'd be part of our development of that property when we get to that point.
Ed, do you want to fill these guys in a little bit on that for for the commissioners that don't sit on board.
Sure. Last October, the town board approved a resolution. It's called a land use policy. The policy is basically was to allow the town manager to evaluate properties that come available and be able to make offers subject to the board approval to lock down opportunities that may pop up. We wanted to have this opportunity so that we could take advantage of different properties that were for sale at the time. I think we identified about 12 different small lots. We had a couple of other big lots that we knew of. Victoria Village was always in our sights. The Pole Yard, there's several other large parcels. Passed the resolution, and in late December, there was a contract on Victoria Village, and the buyers backed out, which put that back on the market. We stepped in quickly and made an offer, a full price offer. It was countered. We came back with another counter offer. The board in January the 5th, I think, was our first board meeting. Approved the offer for that full price offer of 3.65 million. Counter offer was made, and then we ratified that at our last board meeting. And right now, the town of Fraser is under contract with the owners of Victoria Village. It's 11.3 acres. It's that property, if you're unfamiliar with that, it's just north of the post office on the corner of County Road 8 and US 40. It's been for sale for a long time. It has some wetlands and some floodplain issues. And it was our determination that these could be amenities for the town instead of a detriment to development. But what tipped this over was we added another condition to that contract, and that would be that we would receive grant funding from the state. It was called the Operation Turnkey Grant. It would pay for 80% of the purchase price of that property to be used for affordable housing. That means that the actual cash outlay for the town for that 11.3 acres is somewhere around $770,000. That made it extremely attractive. Our grant application puts a minimum of, I think, about 130 affordable housing units in there. I may be wrong on that. There's also room for commercial property and the wetlands as well. The town actually requested a LOMAR, which is a letter of map revision, to better identify what those floodplains would be. There is a wetland easement on there. There's been some mitigation efforts taken, and we're going to resolve that as well. Our plan, though, is once we close, we'll find out if we got the grant award sometime in late February, and the cash would be in our hands sometime around the 1st of May. We plan to close on May the 20th. We are having discussions about what we're going to do with that land. We've been contacted by a number of developers already. We're just kind of putting that information aside. We're going to issue a request for proposals so that we can partner with a developer to provide those affordable housing units. So it's very exciting. Quite frankly, this was an opportunity that just kind of fell in our laps because this Operation Turnkey grant was just authorized in October of 2021. So hopefully this will all work, and we'll get that grant funding, and we can press on with this and make a big step in bringing affordable housing to Fraser.
Kudos to Michael.
Now, Michael Brack, my assistant manager, did most of the heavy lifting. He wrote that grant, and yes, grants are complicated. This one especially, but it's an exciting opportunity. If it all works out, then you'll start seeing some development on that vacant property finally.
Catherine, we're waiting to hear on the grant that
We
you
are.
submitted.
So we had applied to Parks and Wildlife for a non-motorized trail grant application for $250,000. I did a presentation the first week in January, and they will let us know in March. but the preliminary feedback was pretty favorable. So hoping to hear back from that, and that's for, again, this was a recommendation in the Cousins Ranch Open Space Master Plan. And it's for a trail on the western side of the Fraser River from the Lions Ponds down to Rendezvous. It's kind of what is now the winter only lunch loop trail. This will be a year-round trail, and which would help alleviate the overcrowding on the Fraser River Trail, which is nuts. So I was out there the other day on Sunday and saw moose.
Nice.
It's like every time I go out there, there are moose out there.
Three
So,
of them. There's 3 of them.
so we're looking forward to a continued
Exciting.
partnership with Parks and Wildlife, and probably we'll be contracting that out.
Yeah.
The trail construction that, I mean, our guys can help here and there, but they'll be contracted out. So
So, and Bob, you never knew Marianne Clanky, but Sam, do you remember Marianne Clanky? Did
I
you know her?
may have met her when I first got up
Vesta,
here.
ask Vesta about her. She will.
Okay,
She was instrumental in getting that open space put together originally for the town of Fraser. She was on the board for a long time. Anyway, we had voted to rename that, instead of the lunch loop, Mary Ann's Loop.
Hmm.
In her honor. So that's exciting.
yeah.
Any other business?
I just wanted to mention that we do have a planning commission meeting scheduled for the 23rd of February. So we'll be seeing the Willows Apartments has now, the name has changed to Alpenglow. And that again has morphed from an apartment project to a condo project. So that will be coming to planning commission for a public hearing on the 23rd of February.
Can you chair that meeting, Katie? I'm at a real estate conference.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I guess the other piece of exciting planning news is that we've been working with the new owners of, I keep calling it the One Love property. So they have submitted a sketch plan to us at a staff level. And we have recently provided comments back to them. We've met with them. Our kind of Fraser team has met with them probably at least 3 times. So they'll be moving forward with a preliminary plat submittal coming to planning commission probably in the next month or so. And that will be 100% commercial on the Highway 40 side with residential above it in one building, and then a second building in the rear with residential. So they'll be using the overlay district and using the density bonus that we had talked about earlier before the meeting to get some additional residential units there. So, really excited to get some more commercial adjacent to the distillery. And again, it's baby steps into transforming the downtown, I mean, we've been working towards this for a long time, and they're a great group of people, and we're super excited to make something happen. So,
Awesome. Yay.
I
yeah.
know we don't have one, but can we create an architectural review committee for the town that looks at things at sketch plan?
I mean, we've
Or
talked about
something
this
that-
in the past. I
Yeah,
mean, we have
we
some
mentioned it.
general design guidelines in the code right now.
Because I've heard the sketch plan is not the prettiest sketch plan, but I've seen the whole thing yet.
I mean, you're able to make some comments.
Yeah.
Again, we've talked about making more, having more stringent design review comments, and there hasn't been a consensus to move in that direction. It's always been like, no, hang on, we're Fraser, we don't want the government telling us what to do. So
Fair
maybe
enough.
it's time to look at that again, but I think that with the guidelines that are in there and the feedback that this group gives to different applicants, I think you've been pretty successful in changing some of the project and the outcome.
Right.
And I would say that Riverview condos would be an example of that. you know, and what they originally came in with and what the end product was very different, you know, based on, you know, honestly, the feedback from the planning commission and the realistic views of items like snow storage and open space and storage of the stuff that everybody has, because those
Right.
units were so small. So that really changed the product, you know? I mean, they went back, they listened to you and went back to the drawing board and came back, you
And
know?
There was a lot of public comment.
I was gonna say, let's don't shortchange the public comment because there was a lot of interest in that project. And I think the combination of public comment and the board's direction created a much better plan for that site.
No, I agree. I didn't mean to leave out the public because we did have a lot of public comment, which was great. You know, that's what we want. So thank you for that clarification, Bob.
My point was is that people put in a lot of work by the time they get to preliminary plat, designs and everything else. So to have to change at that point is a bit frustrating for developers, a bit frustrating for us to get them to make those changes. So,
Well, I mean, we have the option of bringing the sketch plans to the planning commission. And we typically haven't done that.
no, right.
But if that's the direction you guys want to move, you know, it again makes for probably a lengthier process, you
Right,
know,
which we're
on
trying
the
to
side of
speed
the
up.
applicant.
That's why
Um,
we left it at a staff level to help speed up our process.
But we can
which has been a
certainly, you know,
problem.
we can certainly do that.
I don't think that makes the process longer because how many meetings go by before we sit, before it's preliminary
Well-
plat?
You figure it's at least a month.
And we have a meeting every month. At least on the general stuff.
It's food for thought,
Yeah, it is food for thought.
My experience in previous organizations, they would typically bring that sketch plan or elevations and so forth, but typically not in the first preliminary plat. I mean, it's just conceptual at that stage, but once they start talking about the buildings, but showing elevations and so forth. I mean, they've provided this information. It wouldn't hurt to share that. Because they're looking for input. They've met with us, like Catherine said, 3 times, and they're looking to see what Fraser wants. And this is a good opportunity for them to ask that question.
Right, and they're good builders, they're nice people.
No, they're very nice people. And I mean, this lot brought up a lot of the same things that came up when Barry was here in whenever that was, September or October in the fall, with the barrel room.
Yeah.
You know, it's the redevelopment of that whole block. So it's, you know, what's out there right now is no sidewalks, a valley pan, you know, and overhead electrical lines. So the same kind of things that we brought up during that public hearing have been brought up with these folks as well, because, you know, it's what's happening. It's the redevelopment of that area. So.
Didn't grants to bury power lines?
What's that?
Did you get grants to bury power lines?
We're talking to Mountain Parks Electric about undergrounding those right now and trying to find out what the cost is and looking at probably doing some kind of, you know, if we're able to, cost sharing.
I just think if we do it from the highway back, clean up the town.
Well, we did it on the highway
Yeah.
years
years
ago,
ago,
like,
yeah.
you know, I'm talking 90s probably,
Yeah.
but it didn't go, you know, back
Right,
a block. It just was the main street. It was Highway 40 and that was it.
yeah, well,
So,
Winter Park did half of theirs, and stopped,
right,
everybody else is still waiting.
yeah.
on the
Oh.
highway.
I was curious, have we had anyone, I know that you guys were working on one with the Indeed restriction
Mhm.
program, do we?
Yeah, do you want to talk about the Indeed program and the success of it
Yeah,
now?
truthful, didn't
You know, the Indeed program was kicked off 2019. The initiative 2020, the town budgeted $750,000 for community housing, which would support any deed restriction programs. We didn't have any successful applications in 2020. 2021, we also was running into people that just, I think our cost of what we was, how the program is set up to deed restrict quite frankly, was a little low. But at the end of the year, sometime in fall, might have been October or so, we got an applicant for 2 properties wanting to inquiring about this, and they made an application to the town. The town board voted to approve it. So we now, we're working through the final parts about the title and clearing all this and doing all the legal work, which quite frankly, the town didn't really think of before they put that program in place. So now we're playing catch up. But we now have an agreement to place 2 houses, to deed restrict 2 properties here in town. And the program is set up so that your primary resident has to be their primary residence. The primary owners, they have to have also work in a qualifying business at least 30 hours a week, and that qualifying business is within Grand County. They cannot use their property for short-term rentals. They can rent out the property, but they still have to meet those criteria. So the purpose of this is essentially it restricts that property to only people who can live and work in Grand County, which by in itself makes it less marketable than other properties that are market rate. It will deter investors because they won't be able to use that for short-term rentals. I don't believe the program put any kind of caps on or appreciation over the years, but we still have money budgeted for that. We also budgeted in 2022, $800,000 for community housing. So we have spent a small portion of that money. We've pledged money for that for the Regional Housing Authority initiative. We've $50,000 of that money will go toward any efforts to create that Regional Housing Authority. That left us with $1.3 million or so. And we will pay our share or our cost of Victoria Village out of that fund as well. So it's used mainly for affordable housing initiatives.
So what's in it for the owner of what do they get out of it?
It's hard to determine what they would want out of it. They can use that money for whatever
Well, they
purpose
get
they want.
money for that.
Oh, yes, yes,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
No, I think we paid $40,000 per house.
Okay.
So these owners can use that to remodel the house, buy a new boat, go on vacation around the world, whatever they want to do with that.
So these are
But it is
existing
taxable income.
houses?
I'm sorry?
These are existing houses?
Yes, they are. And just so you know, the Victoria Village project will probably be a mix of rentals, multifamily and single family. The multifamily and the single family will be deed restricted. That will be just part of the condition. So the people who buy that, again, are not going to be investors. They're going to be people who live and work here.
Be like a Hideaway Junction and Winter Park.
I'm not familiar with that one, but
Yeah, it's
Okay.
their houses up there.
Yeah.
How many do they have? 8? They're building more.
they're building more. I was at the groundbreaking right
Yeah.
after I was hired as they celebrated the new extension of those properties.
What houses are they? Are they in downtown Fraser or the ones that went through the?
We didn't get to see the addresses. I
The
know they're in
deed
Fraser.
restricted, yeah,
They're in Fraser. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I can tell you that, well, actually, the owners asked not to
Right.
publish their names, so, but they are in downtown. They're in Fraser town limits. I'll put it that way. I don't know if I'd call it downtown.
So that's passes with the property when they sell. when they go to
It
sell.
runs with the land, so that's in perpetuity.
What about if you did that? What if somebody was gonna do an accessory dwelling? And you just deed restrict that? Does it have to be the whole ownership?
Well, we have it set up right now. It is.
Yeah.
It's the ownership of the house.
See what I'm saying though, is if you could incent people, any of us who live in Fraser, to build an accessory dwelling that would contribute for rentals.
Yeah, but
Wow.
the accessory dwelling unit can't be severed from the principal property.
Yeah.
So there's no way to convey it separately.
So when you
And-
sell it, you sell
And you
You
can't,
deed restrict the accessory dwelling.
no, you don't deed restrict
No.
the building, you deed restrict the
Got it.
property.
So that it's only got one PIN number.
Got it.
So there's no way just to do the accessory dwelling unit.
Good thinking though, because I
I-
thought the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it. Yeah, we went through that once.
yeah.
Committee talked about it once.
You
Yeah, I
just
think we
deed
did.
restrict the structure.
I guess I'll throw my 2 cents in. I'm happy to hear that the Victoria Village project will deed restrict the houses. I've always had a question in my mind about the viability for existing homeowners. You know, I mean, what's in it for me besides a big check? And it ain't all that big if you think about property. But having the new housing in Victoria Village be less attractive to out-of-state or out-of-town buyers that would snap those up in a heartbeat, I think is a very good thing.
That's a good point. We, by owning the land, you know, everyone who's come to us, One Love property owners and so forth, we've had several meetings of people who have explored, you know, affordable housing, workforce housing options, and they always ask the town, what can you do to help? You know, and we're kind of restricted to some degree on how much help we can do. We can waive a few fees, but we can't necessarily hand over a pot of money. Owning the property though for Victoria Village, it's part of our downtown strategic plan. We can transfer ownership of the property to the developer. And when you think about an 11-acre parcel and what the cost might be to build 130 affordable housing units, they have to factor in a lot of things, including the cost of the land. Well, we take the cost of the land out of the equation for them by doing that. We meet our strategic objectives. We form a partnership. What we get out of that in return is deed restricted affordable housing to meet the needs of Fraser community and regional needs as well. Now, there are other options that we can take, but this is probably one of the strongest that you can take to bring that down by reducing the cost of that development. The cost of the buildings now could be sold to meet that target AMI of 80 to 125%.
Anything else?
I don't have anything from other staffers. Ed, no?
One thing I'll throw in is to thank the town staff that are getting out there and keeping these roads open. Some of these days must have been absolutely heroic, and great job. Keep it up, guys. Love you. Thanks a lot.
Oh, that's nice, Sam. We'll pass that on to Public Works.
Certainly.
That's
Let me
fine.
add one last thing. Most of you are aware of the Grand Park Drive, the roundabout, Kings Crossing, the new underpass underneath the railroad. We have been working with Cornerstone Development and also the town of Winter Park 5 months, trying to get to a point where we can finally accept these roads. It's been a long, expensive, tiring effort, but we're ready to sign the acceptance documents. We'll probably close on that either Friday of this week or Monday of next week, at which point, to Sam's comments, our crews are going to be out there trying to dig out 3 to 4 feet of snow on these roads so we can get them opened and close that temporary rail crossing there just to the south.
That's exciting.
Anyone else?
Move to adjourn.
Yeah, all right.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I could,
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night. Okay.
Maybe you're up for chairing though in February.
Yeah. Oh,
I'll be going anywhere.